Okay, comrade, I'm not buying your propaganda. What's going on in Canada? You couldn't make it up. When was the last time you ever used steel?
Steel company, how much steel are you using these days, Todd?
Like I'm sat in a steel box. Yeah, let's have a listen to Michael Barrett.
Your party seems to be accusing the Prime Minister of not actually getting rid of it and raising questions about the document that was signed on Friday. What's your argument there?
So Mark Carney isn't able to unilaterally repeal legislation. So this is the exactly. And so as noted by this member of the media, Mark Carney is not repealing the carbon tax. And he's not able to do that because it's required that Parliament passes that law. Now, if there was a commitment from the Carney-Trudeau Liberals to do this, they would have done it in Parliament. But the fact is that 100% of Mark Carney's cabinet ministers have voted more than a dozen times for the carbon tax. These are the same Liberals who promised in the 2019 election that the carbon tax would not go up. They lied. They then promised after they raised it, it would not go up. They lied again. Now here we are on the eve of an election when Mark Carney needs Canadians' votes. And he's saying that he has zeroed the price that they've put on the carbon tax. But when Mark Carney doesn't need Canadians' votes, but he does need their money, he is absolutely going to put the carbon tax in place, and you don't need to take my word for it. Listen to what Mark Carney has said when he said that he will use what he described as a shadow carbon price. This is a guy who doesn't think that by taxing things like steel at the very time that Donald Trump says that he's going to put tariffs on Canadian steel, that that's not going to be a cost that is passed on to consumers, that that's not going to cause an increase in prices for Canadians.
Nope, we're not going any further without an election, and that's it, just call the election. But will it be able to cancel the carbon tax for the consumer at the same time at least? I'm sure everybody will vote for that to be, well, I don't know, will the Conservatives vote against it because because it doesn't eliminate the carbon tax on the industrial side? Could do. Oh yeah, and then we'll get the headline, axe the tax, but Poilievre says no. Maybe that's a headline they're looking for. Maybe that's why he's done it. Because if he's going to keep it on if you're going to take it away from the consumer side and he's going to leave it on the steel industry and the industrial side, maybe the headline he's looking for is like Poilievre said axe the tax, but when it comes down to it, and then he won't do it, and we end up in a total psychological warfare between Liberals, NDP, whatever they're worth, and Conservatives. We'll have to see what happens. Will the worst kept secret in Canada be revealed today? If you're watching this in the morning, maybe. If you're watching this in the afternoon, could be. If you're watching this in the evening, yes, they've called the election. Hooray, finally. Yeah, there's, well, April 28th, we're thinking about the possible election. That's the rumour. Probably by the time the evening comes around, it's probably going to be true, or just make believe. But yeah, we think election April 28th. Let's not push it into March, into May. Let's just yeah, let's get it done, over and done with. But is the bare minimum enough for Mr. C? We have big issues in Canada, and it's not Donald Trump. No, we have big issues, and it's Mr. C and all his shenanigans and little backroom dealings. And yeah, even if you owned a huge company and then you decided to be king of Canada and just said, oh, okay, I'll just put them on the back burner for now, you're still going to be influenced by them companies, aren't you? Nobody liked Trudeau, did they, right? But he was a politician, like, through and through. His dad was a politician. He didn't really have influences around the decisions that he was making. Maybe the people who he appointed had the bigger influences, but like MC, because he wanted to sell, maybe allegedly, let's just say, heat pumps. yeah, and like Polyev, he's a people have said, oh, he's only ever been a politician. Yeah. Give me a politician to do a politician's job. It's like saying, oh, I got an electrician in the other day, and he messed it right up. Yeah, and I got him in because he used to be a carpenter. Yeah, and he's been an electrician for a week, and he can't even do my thing, even though he used to be a carpenter. Bad analogy, probably, but yeah, let's get a politician in to do a politician's job when we have the vote. Michigan said,
I saw a great comment earlier today. Carney was installed like a toilet. At least a toilet has a seat. I will try and find the author for the proper credit.
Just drop it in the comments if you can find it. Alison said,
Of course he will make deals to benefit him. I am 90% sure he is involved in the STDC scandal.
Allegedly. You have to put allegedly there, because if you're in England, that's it. They come and knock on your door and lock you up. And you know that, well, we'll look at that in the next comments, but you know that Carney wants European values. He wants to be part of Europe. And yeah, that might include censorship of any speech whatsoever. Brian said,
Absolutely. Carney is going to make decisions that his investments will benefit. This blind trust, he says, his money assets are in, which he says has no control over those assets. Yeah, right. You mean I'm supposed to believe that Carney has handled over tens of millions in assets and money, and that he has no control over those assets and doesn't know what those assets are doing? BS.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Brian. It doesn't matter whether or not you've put them in a blind trust or whatever. You don't just suddenly forget about those assets. Like let's say in a month when he's finished being Prime Minister. Well, let's say for some reason he got voted in. In 4 years, he'll go back to them assets, won't he? And they will have increased because of decisions that he has made while being Prime Minister, allegedly. Leka Price said,
It is absolutely astonishing how naive so many Canadians are about Carney's destructive role as the head of the Bank of England.
Yeah, we've looked into it on here, but yeah, that's what he did in England. He wrecked the Bank of England, basically wrecked it. He wrecked the Bank of England. He wrecked the English economy. He didn't really smooth the path into Brexit. Everything, well, let's just say, he didn't stay there, did he? He moved on. Why did he move on? George says,
So tell me how he can do what he is doing if Parliament is not even in session. Total BS. He sure is not my PM. Election now for C sake.
A lot of B's, S's and C's in that, George. I hope people can work out your conundrums. Yes, pretty sure that's going to be called today, and we'll probably be going to the polls end of April. Moa said,
Carney, installed by WEF.
Yeah, that's basically it. There's lots of pictures of him hanging around with WEFers. WEFers. David said,
Count Carney is not a replacement for Canadian democracy. He seems to be more fluent in French than English. Reconvene Canadian Parliament now.
That's what he's trying to avoid, actually. He's trying to avoid reconvening Parliament. That's why we think he'll pull the election today and not go into Parliament on Monday and let the Conservatives push for the election. Because it will look better on him to all his little Liberal followers and sheeple that, the Liberals are calling an election. The Liberals are doing it, rather than the Conservative government have forced the Liberal government into an election. See what I mean? It's just pedantic. It just sounds better. Shirley says,
How about his wife's conflicts also?
Yeah, I need to do 5 minutes on that. She's net zero zealot. I got a few little snips of what she's into. I put one here, but she's dangerous as he is. Bill said,
I hope Mark Carney has made the biggest mistake of his life. If not, Canadians will have made the biggest mistake of theirs.
It wasn't really Canadians, was it? It was just 200,000. Well, they narrowed it down to 200,000 people to vote him in on the Liberal side, They got rid of a lot of votes because obviously they were voting for the wrong people. So yeah, they narrowed it down to just Carney voters and just a few spread out voters to make it look like it is a democratic decision by just Liberals to put him in power. Patty says,
exactly, he has interest in heat pumps and other things that he could profit from. He is untrustworthy.
Yeah, everyone sees through it. Everyone sees through it.
Vote him in with 6-month probation that he has to perform.
Doug says, Doug, what's going on? 6 months would be enough to terrify everybody and everything. Bruno said,
who else do we have? Think about it.
Yeah, who else? Who else do we have? Think about it. Jagmeet Singh. Theresa Green. No, she's not called Theresa Green. But yeah, May Singh. But there could be Polyev. Just Polyev. Look at my vision. Is Canada destined to join the EU? Probably not, because I don't think he's going to win the election. But is it destined to join? Is that, let's just say that is Carney's vision, joining the EU. So we've got issues with Donald Trump down south, right? With tariffs and everything. So the first thing the new installed Prime Minister does is fly off to England. And Europe. All right, Europe. I was saying I have a sneaky feeling as to why he did that, because he's just gone over there to gloat, I think, allegedly. He's just gone over there to gloat, to go, hey, look what I did. I'm now King of Canada. You guys didn't think I'd come too much, would you, after I quit the Bank of England and screwed up the English economy? Well, now I'm look at me now. Look, I got my own jet and everything. Even though I flew over here and I wasn't actually Prime Minister then, and I was using Canadian taxpayers' money to fly around the world when I'm not actually a Prime Minister just yet, but I will be tomorrow. That was last week. Dale said,
first of all, we're not European. He's not even hiding how dangerous he is joining the EU. It's very dangerous. No more freedoms of speech will be worse than now. We need an election now. Conservatives, no more liberanos in charge of this country. Exactly,
yeah. The speech, the freedom of speech that's disappeared from the UK, it's ridiculous. If they'd have put the Harms Bill through, then yeah, God knows where we would have been in Canada now. We would have all just faced, everything would have just been CBC BS. Patty said,
him moving Brookfield to New York City alone should be enough to not vote for him, and especially when he did it. If he becomes PM, Canada is done.
Yeah, why would you... that was before... That was... Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Saying that you're pro-Canada, pro-Canadian, you want Canada, and then moving your company to America, to the city where Donald Trump is known best for, New York? No. 11 Sales says,
okay, comrade, I'm not buying your propaganda.
What? I just say what's happening in the news, in the real life. It is not propaganda. I'm not making any of this up. What's going on in Canada? You couldn't make it up. You could not make up what is going on in Canada. You couldn't. Like the Liberals just basically copying everything the Conservatives have said that they're going to do. Everything. They're copying everything. And then saying that Trump is responsible for the last 10 years of the Liberal government absolutely screwing over Canadians. No, you can't make this up. You really can't. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, tomorrow, I take a visit to the Bay. And I thought that was I made an interesting video on that. See you tomorrow, guys.